Strategic Affairs Minister Ron Dermer is in Washington for critical talks with U.S. leaders aimed at advancing potential ceasefires in Lebanon and Gaza. Also on the agenda, the attacks still expected from Iran. Minister Dermer met with U.S. Secretary of State Blinken. The meeting came amid dimming hopes for a truce in the Gaza war and sharp differences over humanitarian aid to Gazan civilians. The meeting also followed the Qatari announcement that it was suspending its role as mediator between Israel and Hamas for a hostage-for-ceasefire agreement. There were also optimistic talks about chances for a ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon. Back in Jerusalem, the new Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Sa'ar said he sees progress toward a ceasefire in Lebanon.
The main challenge eventually will be to enforce what will be agreed. One, on the issue of getting them not near the border, northern to the Litani River, and secondly, not let them build again their forces they use in order to attack us. And that will be the challenge. But there is work on the issue. There is certain progress.
The foreign minister also spoke of a potential Russian role in Lebanon. Foreign Minister Sa'ar said that Hezbollah is largely defeated militarily and the time was right for an agreement. For its part, Hezbollah said that no ceasefire proposal has even been received.
وصول الرئيس الأمريكي ترامب إلى سدة الرئاسة وفي فترة شهرين قبل تسلمه الرئاسة بشكل قانوني ورسمي، ففي حراك كبير ما بين واشنطن وموسكو وطهران وعدد من العواصم، كلام كثير في الإعلام، مجموعة كثيرة من الأفكار والمبادرات السياسية. نسمع الكثير من الكلام، ولكن حتى الآن بحسب معلوماتي لم يصل إلى لبنان ولا إلينا أي شيء رسمي بهذا الخصوص.
Meanwhile, the Air Force continues to target Hezbollah sites in Lebanon. Fighters and artillery batteries attacked a missile launcher in the north of the country. The Air Force and ground forces are continuing to degrade Hezbollah capabilities, while the IDF chief says the army is prepared to move forward if ordered and awaits a decision from the political echelon. The war with Lebanon is not over. Hezbollah fired over 100 rockets toward Israel in the past 24 hours. In recent hours, Haifa and the north came under yet another barrage in the heaviest attacks targeting the Haifa Bay since the start of the war. More from ILTV's Devo Klein.
A drone today struck the playground of a kindergarten in the Haifa suburb of Nesher. No red alert sounded before the direct impact. Only the decision of the nursery school teacher to place the kids in the shelter prevented a major catastrophe. No injuries were reported. The IDF says that most rockets were shot down by air defense, but several struck inside towns, causing heavy damages to homes and property. Over 90 rockets were fired at the Haifa Bay area in several barrages. Damage was caused to homes and cars in Kiryat Ata, and a teenager was slightly hurt by glass shards.
اللحظة اللي سمعنا فيها الأزعاقات قمنا نحكم بالحيدر موغان، فجأة بنسمع صوت البوم بيم ورا البيت. أنا قمت من تختي، تفجروا 3 شبابيك بأوضة النوم تبعي، يعني وصلوا على تختي، يعني قمت بآخر لحظة سمعت. جيران انأذوا، عندنا هون 3-4 بيوت انأذوا، مرت ابن عمي كمان انأذت كتير بوجها وبناتها، وعندنا كتير نازك بالبيوت، ضرر كبير في البيوت من جوا من برا في الساحات، وقع كتير شظايا. فبتأمل الكل يسمع التعليمات ويفوت على الأوض المحصنة وما يطلعش بعد 10 دقايق، الكل يحمي حاله، ما حدا يستهتر بالوضع، وإن شاء الله بنتأمل يحل السلام وتنتهي كل هاي الأمور، وبتمنى السلام لكل شعب إسرائيل.
And now joining us is Abraham Levan from the Alma Research and Education Center that specializes in Israel's security challenges on the northern border. Avraham, so the question all in Israel is asking, how can we say that Hezbollah is defeated and yet they're firing over 100 rockets a day at northern Israel? with massive barrages. Are they defeated or not?
At the risk of disputing our new Minister of Defense, I completely agree. I don't think we can claim victory on Hezbollah until we bring our people back to the north, our kids back to school safely, back to normal life here in the north. Until then, while Hezbollah is shooting rockets, we could claim we defeated Radwan and actually eliminated the option of a surprise attack, October 7th style, from South Lebanon to the Galilee. We eliminated many of the chain of command, but we still haven't beaten Hezbollah. There's a few steps that we have to make before we can take that claim seriously.
Well, how deep into Lebanon would the IDF have to push to actually prevent rocket fire into Israel? And is that even achievable without a ceasefire agreement?
Well, the answer is all over Lebanon completely, but I do not mean a ground maneuver. I mean we have to completely have freedom of operation all across Lebanon to keep on working on Hezbollah strategic targets, their weapons, silos, their commanders. As long as they're shooting at us, we have to continue. If you're speaking of the ground operation, I think we all want to keep it limited. I think the Litani is the northern spot that we might reach, although I don't even see that happening necessarily. I think everybody's trying to reach a diplomatic agreement, and I hope that's on the way, and we can avoid this ground operation escalating even more.
Well, Avram, let me ask you about that. There's much optimistic talk about a potential ceasefire. Our new foreign minister even spoke of a Russian role in Lebanon. Does Hezbollah appear poised to agree to any ceasefire proposal that Israel would agree to and that solves the problem for our northern residents? What does your research tell us about a potential Russian role?
So first of all, I think we should make a differentiation between Lebanon and Hezbollah. Lebanon is definitely ready for a ceasefire. Lebanese people want this war to be over. Will Hezbollah sign an agreement? Definitely not. Just to remind everyone, even the agreement about the gas rigs, the maritime border, we did not sign an agreement with Lebanon. So I do not see that happening. But a de facto agreement with Hezbollah might be on its way. Russia is a major player, and their pressure on Hezbollah might help stop them, at least for now. But I think the minimum that Israel can live with here in the north is at the end of all of the attacks, all of the rockets, and complete freedom of operation to retaliate if that does happen.
All right, well, Avram, thank you so much for being with us. Just one more thing, if I could ask you quickly. When would you say that the majority of Israeli residents of the north will be back on their homes, or is that just guesswork on your part at this moment?
Guesswork, but do not expect any miracles before 2025.
Abraham Levan from the Alma Center, thanks so much for being with us.
My pleasure.
Israeli officials are saying that the incoming Trump White House could bring more pressure to bear on Qatar to broker a hostage for ceasefire deal with Hamas in Gaza. Israel is more confident of reaching a hostage for ceasefire deal once Trump is in the White House. That's the word from a top unnamed Israeli official who told Israeli reporters that Israel hopes that Trump will put more pressure on Qatar and won't make it hard for Israel to apply maximum military pressure on remaining Hamas elements in Gaza. Doha left the door open to mediation if the sides showed more seriousness about reaching a deal. The unnamed Israeli official said that Trump will not block weapons shipments or press Israel over humanitarian issues. The official said that Prime Minister Netanyahu does not believe that military pressure on Hamas has been completed and that Israel has more options to return the 101 hostages, living and dead, still held in Gaza. Meanwhile, trucks of aid have been flowing into Gaza ahead of tomorrow's deadline set by the U.S. almost a month ago, conditioning arms delivery to the flow of aid to the Gazan civilians. At one point, there was an attempt to hijack a convoy, and Israel arrested those involved. Ammunition was reportedly found in an aid shipment. It's day 403 of the war in Gaza. The IDF has been operating in Rafah in the south. Nahal soldiers located an ammunition depot, drones, a Hamas observation post, and mortars near a hospital and a mosque. The operation is ongoing. The IDF today announced the deaths of 4 soldiers killed in fighting in northern Gaza. They are Staff Sergeant Or Katz from Alei Adumim, Staff Sergeant Naveh Asulin, 21, from Karmit, Staff Sergeant Gary Zolat, 21, from Afula, and Staff Sergeant Ophir Eliyahu, 20, from Cholon. The soldiers all served in the Kfir Brigade's Shimshon Battalion. Their deaths bring Israel's toll in the ground offensive against Hamas in the Gaza Strip and during operations along the border to 375. Jewish organizations from around the world gathered in Washington, D.C. at the 2024 Jewish Federations of North America General Assembly. ILTV is at the event. Now let's hear what some of the guests had to say.
I'm here at the JFNA General Assembly in Washington, D.C., where thousands of Jewish voices have come together to share their experiences, visions and ideas. And this year, amid the ongoing war and the growing global anti-Semitism, it is more important than ever for these Jewish voices to come together and to help build a vibrant and strong Jewish community.
In the heart of Washington, D.C., Jewish communities from across the globe are coming together to make their voices heard at the 2024 Jewish Federations of North America General Assembly. Since the onset of the devastating war in Israel and a shocking rise in anti-Semitism, the Jewish community has faced unprecedented challenges. But as we've done for generations, we're standing united, advocating for change, and shaping a brighter tomorrow.
This year, it's clearer than ever how significant it is.
Here is to meet with different representatives of the federations of JFNA, many of whom are already giving to the trauma relief and other work that Eli has been doing, and to thank them, to update them, and to make new connections as well.
This year's General Assembly is a unique opportunity to unite in purpose, share perspectives, and collaborate on solutions for the future. Together, we'll tackle the issue that matters most, combating hate, supporting Israel, and empowering the next generation of Jewish leaders.
You know, it's a very hard time for Israelis in general and for anyone who's an Israeli author or in the culture or arts world. There's a boycott now. So it's really, really important to work with the Jewish community and tell the stories here because, to be very honest with you, outside the Jewish community, not many people want to hear it.
With pride, passion, and resilience, thousands of attendees have gathered to make a statement. We stand together for Israel, for our families, for our heritage, and against anti-Semitism.
This is an opportunity for all of us to come together again, join forces, and help us in Israel, the Jewish people.
As other people have pointed out, anti-Semitism is not a Jewish problem, it's a non-Jewish problem. It's a problem of the Christian community, it's a problem of certain Muslim communities for sure, it's a problem of the left, it's a problem of the right.
This is a moment to shape our future, a moment to let your voice be heard. Together we can foster a deeper connection to our shared culture and heritage and create lasting change that echoes through generations. Together with JFNA, we will lead the way forward with strength, courage, and unity.
I think one thing we have learned since October 7th is that on the days after October 7th, when we look to our left and our right to see our friends who we thought were there, the friends who we had marched with, the friends that we had advocated for, and found that so many of them were not there. And so one thing that has crystallized is that we as a Jewish community need to count on and can really count on each other, and we're only as strong as we are unified. And I think that that's an era that is focused here. I think it's the direction that we as a community need to continue to go in order to ensure that we will survive and thrive as we have for thousands of years.
Last month, ILTV had the privilege of interviewing 2 remarkable soldier students, Shachar and Sar Avivi, who have been balancing their military duties while pursuing engineering degrees. Last year alone, 1 in 5 students served in the reserves, a number totaling about 70,000. This year, the commitment remains just as strong. Here's a strong excerpt from that interview capturing the sacrifices our students make to protect Israel. Let's take a look.
I understand that you have actually been in Miluim largely since the start of the war, off and on. Tell me about the challenges of being able to manage your schooling with the IDF service.
Well, I have missed a lot of the semester when I was in reserve. And also there are some struggles with coming back to reality from the army and then coming back to the army from reality. It's a big leap of a change in environment. It has been difficult, but I have a supporting family, and AFECA has been very accepting and accommodating of the reserve forces that it has, the reserve students that it has. So largely the missing time that I had to study was the main issue.
Just being able to get through the schoolwork. Yeah, 100%. Now, Shachar, I know for you that you were also served in the reserve since the war started, but because the school year was pushed off, that was largely before it happened. Tell me about your reserve duty and what you did, how that impacted your learning.
So, yeah, I've been fortunate to be able to go back to study, and it was a bit of a difficult adjustment, but of course much easier than those who still keep doing military service. It was more of a, I have no problem with studying time, but mentally just trying to focus on studying with everything that's going on. And in addition, my boyfriend is still in the military on and off, so I just keep worrying.
Well, thank you both so much for being here today.
Thank you.
To support these students and others at AFECA Academic College of Engineering, please scan the QR code on your screen to join AFECA's As One campaign. A senior member of the Netanyahu coalition is saying that following the election of President-elect Donald Trump, the time is right for Israel to push for a declaration of sovereignty in Jewish communities in Judea and Samaria. Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich heads the National Religious Party. He told a press conference that he hoped the incoming Trump administration would herald the recognition of Israeli sovereignty in Judea and Samaria in 2025 and end U.S. demands for a Palestinian state.
שנת 2025 תהיה בעזרת השם שנת הריבונות ביהודה ושומרון. נתתי הנחיה למנהלת ההתיישבות במשרד הביטחון ולמינהל האזרחי להתחיל בעבודת מטה מקצועית ומקיפה ולהכין בפועל את התשתית הנדרשת להחלת הריבונות.
Smotrich said that Trump can lead the way to a truly new Middle East.
אנחנו אחרי השנה הזאת החזק במזרח התיכון. אנחנו נחיל את הריבונות יחד עם ידידינו האמריקאים. נרחיב את ההסכמים ואת הבריתות שלנו עם המדינות השכנות ונייצר מזרח תיכון חדש אמיתי.
Meanwhile, anti-terror operations are continuing in Judea and Samaria. IDF forces and the Shin Bet arrested Hamas operatives in a series of sweeps conducted for wanted men in a number of towns. The army has been working intensively since last October to contain an upsurge of terrorist violence in Judea and Samaria. The Ephraim division arrested 4 wanted men and confiscated a drone and military equipment. 3 other wanted men were arrested by the Shomron division. There were no casualties to IDF forces. And in other political news, far-left Knesset member Ofer Kasif has just been suspended for 6 months over comments he made on the IDF and their conduct in the Gaza war. Devo Klein has the details.
MK Ofer Kasif, a far-left figure in the Israeli parliament, was just suspended for 6 months after the Knesset Ethics Committee unanimously voted for his suspension. The move comes after inciting comments made by Kasif when he called the IDF actions in Gaza a, quote, systemic pattern of action. The committee clarified that these comments endanger IDF soldiers as they incite violence among Palestinians and rioters. The committee cites a tweet by Kasif calling Jenin rioters, quote, freedom fighters. Kasif had garnered an extreme reputation as the only Jewish member of the Arab-majority Hadash Ta'al party who openly expresses anti-Zionist sentiments. Kasif, a self-declared communist, claims to work against Zionism and made headlines earlier this year after being the only Israeli Knesset member to publicly support South Africa's motion against Israel in the International Court of Justice. Kasif agreed with South Africa's genocide claims and even signed a petition supporting South Africa's case against Israel as they fight valiantly against the terror organization Hamas. The committee has suspended Kasif from participating in any debates or addresses to Parliament for 6 months, with his pay being withheld for 2 weeks.
And today we have the privilege of hearing once again from Yael Eckstein, president of the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews. She shares with us a recap of some of the most important headlines from recent weeks. Let's take a look.
Shalom, my friends, from here in the Holy Land. I'm Yael Eckstein, and here are 3 things that you should know about Israel this week. Number 1, terrorists continue to launch rockets at Israeli cities. This week, there were 7 innocent people killed by Hezbollah-launched rockets. These rockets were launched from terrorists in Lebanon at Israeli cities, and we continue to pray for those families who are in mourning and pray for peace. Number 2, in some positive news, there was an incredible archaeological find that you need to know about. It's a rare stone seal from the First Temple period, which bears a winged figure and a name in Paleo-Hebrew script. It was discovered recently near the southern wall of Jerusalem's Temple Mount in the Davidson Archaeological Garden. This is proof of the Jewish people's presence here in Jerusalem over 2,700 years ago. Number 3, in some fellowship news. Earlier this week, I was in Jerusalem as the fellowship dedicated 25 emergency vehicles through our partnership with United Hatzalah. It's incredible volunteers who are driving these cars, responding to emergencies in order to save lives. During times of war, when more help and aid is needed, the Christian community around the world is stepping up to provide it. Well, there you have it, my friends. There are 3 things that you now know about Israel this week. Join me next week, same place, same time, for more updates on what's happening in the Holy Land. Shalom.
Sagot Winery, where passion meets tradition. Nestled in the heart of Binyamin, our vineyards yield exquisite wines crafted with generations of expertise.
Well, let's take a look at the weather forecast. Mostly cloudy skies are expected tonight around the country, with temperatures reaching lows of around 14 degrees Celsius or 57 degrees Fahrenheit. And then tomorrow, warmer temperatures are expected to reach highs of about 25 degrees Celsius or 76 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, that's a wrap for today's news. For the latest updates from Israel on all your devices, be sure to follow our ILTV channels, subscribe to our newsletter, and explore our website, iltv.tv. Stay informed with the latest news straight from the heart of Israel. I'm Steve Leibowitz. Be well, and thanks for watching.